47. To keep all families alive and unabused by human lawless governments, you must campaign for both international treaty laws and national constitutional amendments to ban all pseudo-religious government dictates that would crush human freedoms of and from religion. Just as legally and powerfully, you must protect and defend each sexual orientation and gender, inherent or chosen, and grant full education rights for each sex and all races and religious groups. I use the term pseudo-religious to describe any equally false morality that demands laws attacking rights and well-being of all groups that evil liars label inferior. For example, even so-called holy books that deny full rights, power, and kind, respectful treatment of females, gays, and wrong religion practitioners are, in fact, a devil's, not God's words. Ain't it the bad guy who burns others for his jollies? The real God made women fully equal in his image. He created 10,000 different animals and us humans 10% homosexual, and designed every human mind to choose from 100 different creeds, not just one true religion. Wow, what brought on my last rant and legal demand? As always, last night's international radio horror stories. Yesterday, 5,000 Iranian schoolgirls were rushed to hospitals after presumptive poisoning by an airborne, deliberately inflicted toxin. For a half year, hundreds of thousands have been so attacked. Thank God none have died. Many of yesterday's victims were attending schools in the hometown of the famous young teen who was beaten to death by her utterly evil government for merely failing some detail of shameful female face-covering law. Few analysts doubt that hundreds of thousands of Iranian girls peacefully but furiously raging in the streets for the rights to both appear and be educated equally at school have frightened a government of hateful misogyny into conducting a permanent terror war of public demonstration savaging and schoolgirl poisoning to scare every female student and their families out of revealing a single obscenely beautiful face, to which pure superior men above reproach would be corrupted out of control. The same as viewing the barest hint of female shape. We're confused. Are men perfect or hopelessly evil? Although y'all do answer that question every time with your bullets, clubs, and bombs. Most every enforcement of government theocracy around the world finds more and different human groups to officially attack and abuse because my God hates all you guilty of sinful inferiority from birth, so he orders our government to destroy you. As if created evil by him. Understand? No, the real God is love and respect of all. But a billion nasty morons didn't get that memo. Government of so-called religious law is actually directed by the devil of bigotry, hate, and abuse. Certainly not any God of decent humans' imagination. You'll recall the 99.9% of my speeches attacking doom-spawning financial corruption of politicians, not theocratic hate and war. My other radio horror story is from Guatemala. For many years, a perfect storm of government corruption. A journalist was interviewed about his reporter friend, now languishing in a tiny, solitary cell, falsely accused of several fully invented crimes. His real mistake was broadcasting the identities of Guatemalan officials taking bribes from various criminals wishing to gain even more riches and power through government help to further magnify the abuse of and theft from their enemies and victims. He lamented, "Hundreds of thousands more of us will keep fleeing our homes to storm every South and North American border so long as this corruption is invited and allowed, not forbidden by law and practice. Our government is ever being paid to rob us of everything, all of our rights, our economy, and finally, sheer ability to live even days more without imminent starvation or murder." What happens when both forces, public official private bribery and "Your government law must be bigoted hate that I claim to be righteous religion," together drive to the power centers of legislative, executive, and judicial national and state governments? I've already told you, American billions privately paying politicians to select jurists who promised to, then did, savagely attack our Constitution by crushing voters, women's, and minorities' rights. Legislative and executive branches also massively so paid off. In a single year, we're up to 600 new state laws passed or pending to abuse and destroy youthful transgenders that our God obviously never created, just orders us to hate and punish. So you politician pawns must vote not for the public majority, but to obey the bribe-coerced orders of us most rich and righteous power players. If you don't, then in 24 hours, our millions in TV ads will hawk your election opponents and crucify you resisting our orders. Got that? Any more accomplishments of the bribing, thieving, warmongering bigots? We've fully discussed the 75 years of World War funded by starving national and world medical and economic crises, ordered by campaign bribery from filthy, ever richer merchants of death. Hammering polluter power during 24 years of river and lake disappearance, forging the last link of extinction's final chain of death, I've detailed. To stay alive longer than a tiny handful of years, you are going to have to very quickly kick every single business bribe and bullshit, religious and moral order the hell out of government law. That's right. You remember what at least 1 million parched, starved, blasted, frozen, non-civilized planets forgot. Now, hurry up and make only and all family love truly constitutional government law.